Hello and welcome to another Legacy League. This time I'm playing a Arena Rector deck. This is a black-white Scam deck. So Scam is the package of Grief and Reanimate, which in Legacy lately has been paired very frequently also with Orcish Bowmasters and Troll of Khazad-dûm. Just those four cards together, Reanimate, Bowmasters, Grief, and Troll. These have been the basis of a bunch of decks lately in Legacy. You can go mono black, you can pair it with blue, you can pair it with a bunch of other stuff. But today we're pairing it with white. So the plan here is start with a Grief, start with a Cabal Therapy. We want to get into a low resource game with the opponent, and eventually we want to just power out something like an Arena Rector, sacrifice it to Cabal Therapy, and power out one of our big Planeswalkers. In our Planeswalker spot, we're running just 3. So we have 4 Arena Rectors and 3 things that it can actually find. We're running Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh, Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. These two cover a lot of situations. You know, if we're in sort of an empty board state against like a combo deck, usually you want something like God Pharaoh. If they have a big creature on board, you usually want Planeswalker. And if they have sort of a generic board, they're playing a creature deck, something like Delver, you want something like Ugin the Spirit Dragon. So these 3 Planeswalkers sort of cover a lot of ground between the 3 of them. Usually any one of them, if unanswered for a turn or 2, will end the game on its own. And interestingly enough, these 2 Planeswalkers, the 2 Bolas Planeswalkers, are both black, and that means they can be pitched to Grief. So, in a lot of these Rector decks, you might have some big spell that gets stuck in your hand and isolated. This deck has a couple things for that. 1, you can pitch them to Grief, and 2, you can pitch them to Bone Shards. So Bone Shards can be used to sacrifice an Arena Rector. It can also be used to get one of the big Planeswalkers that's sort of stuck in your hand. The 2 Boluses are totally uncastable in the deck. This can sort of get it out of your hand. The rest of the deck is fills out with some white cards. We have Swords to Plowshares, running 3 Recruiters of the Guard. Recruiter can find basically every creature in the deck except for Troll of Khazad-dûm. We have Rectors, we have a Palace Jailer, we have a Solitude, we have a Lauren in the main board. This, just in case the opponent's got something that shuts down the graveyard, we have a Lauren for that. And then we have an Elite Spellbinder just as another card that we can find in addition to Grief that can sort of shut down the opponent's hand, take a Surgical Extraction, take a Graveyard Piece, take a Force of Will, something like that. Also running 3 Caverns of Souls. So these, while there is like a bit of different creature types in the deck, Human is probably the most important. Human gets everything in this column: the Oppo Agent, the Recruiter, Lauren, Elite Spellbinder, and it gets Arena Rector and Palace Jailer. We also have a 1-of Passage Seer. This can be found with Recruiter of the Guard just as sort of another angle to attack opposing decks with. We're a little light on lands. This is a deck that totally wants to get to 4 lands and hardcast these spells here in the 4 column. We're only running 21, but we have 4 Ancient Tombs and we have 3 Trolls of Khazad-dûm. So hopefully that lets us get to that kind of the mid game where we hope to take over. And again, we hope to get to that mid game in sort of a low resource game. Sideboard, nothing too crazy here. Ley lines, more Laurens for opposing ley lines, and a couple like 1-of creatures and other things for various decks. One thing to note, Unlicensed Hearse is kind of an interesting one. We already have the ley lines, but I also wanted an Unlicensed Hearse. It can be cast on turn 1 off of an Ancient Tomb, but also if the opponent has a Surgical and tries to like Surgical our Arena Rector, we can respond by exiling our own Arena Rector. Yeah, we lose the trigger, but it will save the other Arena Rector, so kind of an interesting interaction. Yeah, and with that, I'm going to hop into a league. All right, on the play. Let's see here. I don't have a black source, but it might be okay. We have a turn 1 Troll can cycle, and then we can reanimate it on the following turn. We can also get a Plains with it. It's an okay hand. It just has 2 Planeswalkers that are useless in it. There's like, this is totally uncastable and there's no grief to get rid of it. Even though this is a playable hand, this is kind of like a 5-card hand with those. I lean toward a mulligan on this. This is better. I like this. I'm actually considering keeping the Nicol Bolas as a card that I can pitch Nicol Bolas to Grief and then Cabal Therapy, hope to hit one more land drop and then cast a Passageway Seer on turn 3. I think that's my plan. So I'm going to keep this. So I could put back the Nicol Bolas and pitch the Cabal Therapy to Grief, but I think with Grief you have an automatic hit with Cabal Therapy. So I'm leaning toward putting back like a Plains and just casting the Cabal Therapy. It does open me up to Wasteland, but I think it's a little better. I really need to get to 4 mana. But we're going to do this. Cool, let's do it. Unfortunately, you can't sacrifice the Grief to Cabal Therapy. That doesn't work because it dies beforehand. So let's pitch the Nicol Bolas, and we're going to open with just a Grief and see what our opponent's up to. All right. Ponder, Force of Negation, Force of Negation. Well, we take the Ponder here and force out the Force of Negations. So that's the plan here. So take the Ponder, and then we basically hit them for the rest. So they can Force of Negation this, which they probably will. They didn't, which is curious. So I'll just name Force of Negation and leave them with a handful of just lands. All right. They should have forced that, which would at least take it out of my graveyard. But yeah. Oh man, this is living the dream here. So I'm going to cast an uncounterable Passageway Seer the following turn. All right, there's the Tundra. All right, we'll go Warlock. All right, cast a Passageway Seer. My opponent's probably like, what is going on? Cool. All right. So I will get I have a Marsh Flat, so I can really get either one here. I'll get a Plains, because there's more ways to get Swamp, I guess is the right answer. All right, and this should get a +1/+1 counter. So my opponent can't really Prismatic Ending this, but if they get any threats, it's kind of bad for me. Okay, so they have these 2 lands still and 2 unknown cards. So I will venture into the Undercity. I'm going to probably go to the Lost Well here. Just try to hit threats. Like I need to have more things. Because it's, this is a control deck probably. They should probably have ways to deal with what I've got going on. So I'm going to bottom this and I'll top the Bowmasters. Bowmasters is a good draw here. Bowmasters, I can hit them with Cabal Therapy if needed, but I don't know if that's needed. I've showed them the plane, so I'm going to play it. I'll get in with the Passageway Seer. They swords it. That's fine. All right. And no need to play the Orcish Bowmasters. They have 1 unknown card in their hand. No need to flash in the Cabal Therapy. All right, there's the Flooded Strand. And I'm going to just hold the Bowmasters. I think it's fine. I will get the stash going on. Grief's pretty good. I like Grief. So I need to cast the Grief off of another Swamp. So I'll get a basic here, and I'm going to cast the Grief. It does mean I can't also cast the Bowmasters. but I think that's okay. I guess I can cast the Bowmasters off the treasure if needed. Like if things really get dicey. Or if they brainstormed in response to the grief trigger, for example. All right, let's see what they got going on. Doing something. Wandering Emperor. Okay. Oh, that's their spell. And then they got nothing. Okay. Cool. And I will just pass. Oh, they can give it first strike. I guess that probably doesn't matter because I'll probably be blocking with the Bowmaster. And I might actually Bowmaster here just in case they draw a Force of Will. I guess they're going to use the Wandering Emperor here, so maybe I'll do it in response to that. Yeah, so they get a 2/2, and I'll cast the Bowmasters. Yep. I just want to make sure that they don't get the initiative. Let's hit the Wandering Emperor. All right. And then I'm done. Yep. And hopefully the grief can finish off the Wandering Emperor. I will also be getting the Catacombs. Okay, they've given it first strike. That's fine. I'll be blocking with the army. Okay, it's got Vigilance. It's trouble. There's the Scalding Tarn. All right, venturing into the Undercity again. Get the 4/4. Bowmasters is pretty good. Well, I'm going to get in with grief here. All right, kill the Emperor. That's fine. Again, one unknown card. I'm not really too worried about what they got going on. Just got to prevent them from Teferi. It's kind of annoying. I think I'll just cast the Wandering Emperor, or cast the Bowmasters. They'll probably bounce the token, which is frustrating. But they're going to bounce the token. The grief will be able to kill Teferi. So yeah, I'll just ping them. And then we'll see what they got going on. They'll probably bounce the skeleton here, and then I'll probably just block with the army. And hopefully I can hit an Arena Rector and then sacrifice it to Cabal Therapy off of Throne of the Dead 3. That would be the ideal world. They could tick up the Teferi. I don't know. That feels bad against a grief. And the skeleton token also has menace. Like I have 2 menace creatures. So ticking up the Teferi feels bad. They got to tick it down. Probably take out the skeleton. Yeah, as expected. So we'll ping the Teferi and ping. I'll ping Face here because the Orc army is gonna become a 3/3. It can trade with the Samurai if needed. All right, there's the land. Okay, well I'm blocking. I assume my opponent has some. Oh, they're gonna ponder into the Bowmasters. So this is kind of, so far this game is kind of working out as I hoped. You know, we're fighting a low resource game here, and Bowmasters and Grief is going to do it. So they know I'm hitting Throne of the Dead 3. This game's probably over. So yeah, good scoop by my opponent. So this is a control deck. Nothing super crazy here that I saw. Saw Teferis, saw the Wandering Emperor. Probably don't really want to make a bunch of changes. I might bring in the Unlicensed Hearse just to try to hit a few artifact, or hit like a Snapcaster or something like that they might have. Other than that, I don't think I really want any of this. Like I have one Oppo agent already. I don't need a second one. I would consider maybe a second Lauren, but I don't know if it's that critical. I didn't show them the Arena Rector plan, so they have no idea of that plan. They might still board in Surgicals because they saw the Grief plan. But yeah, I actually lean towards probably taking the Oppo agent out. They conceivably could be a Stoneforge deck, but it's not even that good against Stoneforge. So maybe I'll trim the Oppo agent and bring in an Unlicensed Hearse. I feel like this is okay. Actually, the Solitude is a little weak. It's not very strong against Teferi. Yeah, maybe I'll trim the Solitude and leave in the Oppo agent. No, we'll keep in the Solitude just in case. We'll go like this. I don't think this is... I'm leaving in the Two Swords to Plowshares purposefully, even though there's not going to be a bunch of hits for them. Until I see a little bit more of my opponent's deck, I want to leave those in. 2 main deck Force and Negations. That could be Stoneforge Mystic. I feel like they're on that sometimes. Yuck. Another non-functional hand. Like this hand with like a land and a troll is amazing, but without a land, this is bad. This is okay. It's not amazing, but I think I have to keep this. We'll put away the Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. It's a 1-lander, but it's got a troll, so hopefully that can work. We just need to get to 3 mana. And I think I'm gonna... Okay. With another land, that does kind of change things. I might open with the Cabal Therapy. Do I want to do that? I think that's okay. So they showed me 2 Force and Negation, so for sure they have Force of Will. So I think I'll open for that. Let's hit them with a Cabal Therapy and see what they have. They might brainstorm here. It's better if you get a Grief before that. But so do I want to name Force of Will? They would probably have brainstormed if they had it. They might not have. But I think you still want to name Force of Will here. Just clear the way for that Passageway Seer. Hit 2. That's pretty good. Worried about the 4th Eorlingas. But hopefully they try to do that on turn... If they do it on turn 3, I'll have a Swords to Plowshares for it. I don't have a creature for it. So under normal conditions, I would play the Unlicensed Hearse here, but I'm not going to. So I will just hold up for Swords to Plowshares and land cycling. Are they going to go for it? No. Okay, so I will cycle the Troll. Go for the old Swamp Cycle. Brainstorm, all right. It's curious why they wouldn't be going for a 4th Eorlingas here. It's super dangerous now. Like, I'm worried about... Like, I don't even really want to play Recruiter of the Guard and hit it. Okay. Oh, they're fetching. So now it's either in their hand or it's gone. Okay, let's get a scrub land. Or should we... Yeah, we'll get a scrubland. I'll get a basic plains off the marsh flats. Okay, I can pitch the Passageway Seer to Grief. I don't think I really want to do that. I can also play a Recruiter of the Guard and flashback Cabal Therapy. Or so my options here, I can play the Unlicensed Hearse and hold up Swords to Plowshares. That's okay. I can evoke Grief and sort of see what's going on. Although Passageway Seer, if I can get one more land, is really good. Or I could play Recruiter of the Guard and flashback Cabal Therapy, naming 4th Aorlingas, which is pretty good. I think I might actually evoke the Grief here. It leaves me a little light on action, but I think that's a sure way to make sure that the Cabal Therapy hits. I like the Passageway Seer, but I can always Recruiter of the Guard for a Palace Jailer. So let's do the Grief, and then I'll have a sure hit off the Cabal Therapy. See what my opponent's got here. They're brainstorming. Okay. Well, now I have a for sure hit off the Cabal Therapy, but it's not as strong because they've hidden something. And if they have 2 lands, they can 4th Aorlingas X's 2, and there's basically nothing I can do about that. That's a pretty good brainstorm. Pretty good brainstorm. Still in a world where they have 4th Aorlingas, Passageway Seer is probably not very good. So this card's been kind of a big boon in Legacy. So this, you have a red white X. You get X/2/2 red knights with trample and haste. And then if a creature you control deals combat damage this turn, you become the Monarch. So you can even cast it on turn 2 with X is 0 if you have a 1-drop in play and take the Monarch on turn 2. So like, I feel like Delver decks or sometimes decks with Mana Dorks can cast it on turn 2. But it's also kind of like breaks any stalemate in like a long game. You know, in a long game, you have you cast this, maybe you recur it with a Mystic Sanctuary, and it just ends the game really quick. You know, you take the Monarch. But I can Recruiter the Guard and take the Monarch with a Palace Jailer the following turn, which is kind of interesting if I draw land. Need to get a little lucky. But we'll see what's in my opponent's hand. Oh, okay. Yep. So back to basics. Not a thing I wanted to see. We will take that. My opponent's got 2 non-basics here. I don't know if, like, is that even that good? Maybe you just take the Ponder. And maybe I just take the Ponder and play a Recruiter of the Guard. I think I'll do that, because then if they 4th Aorlingas, I'll have the Recruiter and I'll have Swords to Plowshares the following turn. I think that's pretty good. So I'm gonna fetch a basic Plains here and cast a Recruiter of the Guard. Now the question is, do I want to get a 3-drop or do I want to get a 4-drop? If I get a 4-drop, arguably Arena Rector is even better. That might force them to play the back to basics. The other option is getting something like Palace Jailer. I'm going to just get an Arena Rector and we'll see how it goes. So let's go with this. So my opponent has kind of no idea what's going on. They're confused, which, that's fair. And even if they play back to basics here, which shuts off 2 of their lands, I could still draw like an Ancient Tomb and play it. And if they don't, I'll just cast an Unlicensed Earth. I think that back to basics is fine. We'll just leave them with that. And if they 4th Aerolingas here, which we don't know that that's their top card, they did hide 2 cards with Brainstorm. But if they do cast that, then hopefully I can take the Monarch back the following turn. Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. So I have Cabal Therapy here. So, I mean, this is not very strong. A land off the top would be my best thing here. So they hid the Stoneforge Mystic. These are exactly their 3 cards. So land off the top would be ideal. Lauren is not the best, but it's okay. And they've shuffled, so they've totally random cards on top of the deck. I can plow the Mystic. I think I'm going to plow the Mystic versus using Cabal Therapy. So let's do that. I'll open with a plow on the Mystic, and then I'll play the Unlicensed Earth. And then I'll just get in there for 1. They could still conceivably cast the Kaldra, but they're pretty far from that. They could have I actually should probably be a little bit more careful. Okay, that was their card. They drew that basic mountain. So these are their 3 cards. So I don't know. I mean, I guess they're getting a basic plains here, or a basic island and casting the back to basics. That's fine with me. Sure. So let's take Brainstorm and Brainstorm. Cool. If I draw a land, I'll hit them with the Lauren. All right. Not a lot going on. There's the Flooded Strand. 1 card away from casting the Kaldra. So let's hit Ponder and Force of Will. I'm just trying to thin this out in case they have a Murktide. All right, well, we'll just... They have an unknown card. I might as well Cabal Therapy now. We'll hit the Kaldra Complete, which is a card we know they have. All right, we'll take it. They got a Kaldra Complete and a Flooded Strand. And I'll just get in for 1. Okay, still Ancient Tomb off the top would be great. Or any land, cast Lauren. Pretty good. If they have like a 4th Aerolingas here, I'm just in huge trouble. This is not looking good. If they just 4th Aerolingas X's a million. Alright, we'll hit the Force of Will and the Kaldra. Just leave all these lands in there. Phyrexian Tower. That's kind of interesting. The Phyrexian Tower is kind of interesting. They have 1 unknown card. It could be a Force of Will, which is bad. I might actually... I'm wondering if Arena Rector is even that good. I'm going to look back at the deck. So I could Nicol Bolas Planeswalker and just start taking their lands away. Or Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. That's pretty good too. And then I can just play it. I mean, those are all pretty good. I also can flash back the Cabal Therapy to see just in case they have a Force of Will. And I think I'm going to do that. So I flash back one Cabal Therapy, and I have another one. So let's see if they have Force of Will. They do not. Oh, I guess if I flash that back, then I can't cast the Lauren. Or I can cast the Lauren. But I have to cast it this way. Okay, so we know what they have. I'm going to blow up the back to basics. And then I might actually crew. I guess I've already attacked, so I can't crew. That was kind of a miss sequence that turn. Very much not familiar with this deck. So next turn I'm playing Arena Rector. They've got Teferi. That's fine. I don't really care about Teferi. I will exile 2 cards. It'll be that and this. Okay. You've bounced the Unlicensed Hearse. You have a known Prismatic ending. Prismatic Vista, rather. There's the Prismatic Vista. Big 4th Aerlingas. That's actually fine. This is actually okay. We'll see what they do here. Just one. Well, I can't block it because if I do it, it still tramples. So I'm gonna give them the Monarch. Okay, they are the Monarch. They draw a card, 1 unknown card. That is pretty much the stone cold worst card to draw in my entire deck. Man, that's so bad. Okay, that's super bad. Oh man, that's so bad. Because that was what I was gonna get. So I can Nicol Bolas Planeswalker and gain control. I can do that and then attack them and take the Monarch because the tokens have haste. Maybe that's the play. Gaining control though will give Nicol Bolas. He'll go down to 3. That's not really what I want. And this one, 7 damage to target opponent, creature. To target opponent, creature and opponent controls or Planeswalker. Yeah, that doesn't do it either. Oh man, this is bad. I really needed that. Maybe I'll just get Ugin the Spirit, or sorry, not Ugin. Oh man, there's just no good options here. Yuck. Yeah, I mean, maybe Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh is the answer here. I guess they took the Unlicensed Hearse because it was bigger than everything else they had going on. Well, this is super bad. Well, we're casting it. And then we're definitely flashing back Cabal Therapy here. So let's flash this back. I will use Arena Rector's ability. So I got to get one of the boluses. I can gain control of a creature, but then if I attack with it, I mean, maybe I still want to gain... Oh, you know, never mind. Lauren has Vigilance. So this works, actually. So I'm going to get Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. This is going to be a little dangerous. So I can take the Monarch this turn. What do I care about that my opponent would have? Swords to Plowshares would be kind of bad for me. The Wandering Emperor, Snapcaster Mage, those are all bad. Probably Stoneforge Mystic is a 3 of, so that's probably bad for me. Maybe we'll name that because that's probably a multiple of in their deck. and I'm not too worried about them countering anything. So let's do Stoneforge Mystic. Batter Skull, which is also bad for me. Because they can cast it. They won't be able to cast it, and so I'm going to gain control of one of the untapped knights. And then we're going to swing with everything at them. All right. So they can only block one. And then I will take the Monarch and draw my card. Kind of a weird turn. Okay, so they're blocking the Lauren, which will let them take the Monarch back. So they'll take the Monarch back next turn. Although I guess they would have taken it back next turn anyway. Okay, I'll draw my card, and hopefully this is enough. Bowmasters is a pretty good draw. It's not going to solve all my problems, but it will solve some problems. I don't have another method to sacrifice the Arena Rector, but I could just play it, and then they might struggle to block. Are they going to try to take the Monarch? I know they have Batter Skull. I can just destroy the Batter Skull with Nicol Bolas, so that's a thing. Not sure what their plan is here. Okay, so they are going to take the Monarch back. They're attacking me. Yep, so no damage to Bolas. They get the Monarch. Back to basics. That's okay. So I can destroy the back to basics or the Teferi, but I won't untap here. And then they are playing the Batter Skull too. Okay. That's fine. So I'm going to probably destroy the Batter Skull and attack them and take the Monarch. So let's do that. Destroy target non-creature permanent. We destroy the Batter Skull. Okay. I don't... Let's see. No, I don't have a ton of options here. I think I definitely want to take the Monarch. So I definitely want to take the Monarch. So let's attack them. So they have one card from being the Monarch. And then I think I just want to cast Bowmasters here. And like maybe ping the Teferi once. So let's ping the Teferi. And we'll just... I have blockers now for the Knight. And I'll draw my card off the Monarch. It's an okay draw, not stellar. Because I don't have a black card to pitch to it. Swords on the Bowmasters, okay. Attacking me again, taking the Monarch. There's Teferi in play, so nothing I can do here. Palace Jailer isn't that good. I think I just want to attack with everything here. And not... I can blow up the Teferi if I need to, so I don't think that's that critical. I'm just going to attack with everything. It's very important that I get the Monarch. Dress down. That doesn't do anything. Draws them a card, I guess. Okay, I'll take the Monarch. Okay, I could take the Knight, which would prevent them from taking the Monarch. That feels okay. I also could play the Phyrexian Tower and sacrifice it. Yeah, actually, I lean towards probably just playing the Unlicensed Hearse and gaining control of their Knight. I probably actually should have sequenced it the other way in case their last card is Snapcaster Mage. All right. It wasn't. I'm going to pass the turn. I'm good. Okay. They sacrifice Dress Down, and I'll draw the card. I guess if it was Snapcaster, they have a Dress Down in play, so it doesn't do anything. Oh, I'm way behind on time. I need to win this game. I didn't realize I was that far behind. I am representing lethal damage. All right. Well, got there. So that's how this wins a control matchup. Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. Good card, I hear. If you could play it. All right. We are on the draw. Just checking my recording. All right. On the draw. Hand is fantastic. If only, I mean, this is pretty awesome. You can actually sacrifice the Grief and cast Reanimate even around like a daze. I'm keeping this. Probably pitching the Bone Shards, but possibly pitching the Passageway Seer. Still need to get to 4 mana. One trick that you can do in this deck, I'm probably not going to do it here, is you can pitch the Grief, sacrifice it to Phyrexian Tower for 2 mana to get 2 extra mana. So that's kind of an interesting thing you can do. Yeah, doesn't really influence anything here. I think, let's see, between the, I can pitch the Bone Shards or I can pitch the Passageway Seer. I already have the sack outlet for the Arena Rector. I think I'm still going to pitch the Passageway Seer. Keep the Bone Shards just in case of a bad situation. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to play the Phyrexian Tower. I'm going to pitch the Passageway Seer. So I have to remember to sacrifice the Grief. Oh, they're just going to force it. Whoopsies. That's a reason to play the Marsh Flats. All right. Let's see what they got here. Okay. Didn't wasteland my Phyrexian Tower, which is nice. They got a Stoneforge, sure. I'll be stripping whatever they get here with the Reanimate. There's my 3rd land. So let's get the Grief again. Fourth Aorlingas and Cauldra complete. Well, we take the Cauldra here, for sure. I don't love the 4th Aorlingas, but that's what we have. Okay, can't really attack here. They can't, that is. No extra land. Okay, so I want to play the Arena Rector next turn. I want to play the Recruiter this turn. Let's open with an attack. All right. I think I'll get basic planes here. Okay. And I'm just going to play the Recruiter the Guard. Not sure what I'm going to get yet. Let's just get a planes and cast the Recruiter. This looks like it looks like Stoneblade. that my opponent's on. Jeskai. Dress down. All right. Sounds good. I have a 1/1. So they're maybe hoping to get a 4th Aerlingas going here, which would be pretty good. They can get in with the Stoneforge. Doesn't do a lot. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to just attack with the Grief, play the Ancient Tomb, play the Arena Rector, and I guess get... I think I'll get Nicol Bolas Planeswalker and just start blowing up lands. All right. 3 unknown cards. We'll sort of see what they get here. There's the Arena Rector. Let's sacrifice it. Yep. And I think Nicol Bolas Planeswalker and just start blowing up lands is better than anything else. I think I'll do that. Let's get the Bolas Planeswalker. And we'll just, I think we'll start on the Volcanic Island. Sort of cut them off blue cantrips. Is this going to be a Batter Skull? I have the Bone Shards if necessary. Nope, just conceding the game. Okay. So this looks like just Jeskai Stoneblade. 4th Aerlingas is like, again, just like last round, good card, kind of a combo breaker. Like gets you out of any kind of like it sort of breaks any mirrors. Okay, so against Stoneblade, I don't hate these. I don't hate this. I don't hate this. Kind of similar to the last round. I'm not expecting ley lines, but I am expecting surgicals. Stoneblade, you know, other than Cauldra, like, yeah, they have a Batter Skull. I'm not sure I need that many more Lorens. Like, maybe one, but even that might be overdoing it. Conceivably, they could have, like, a, whatever, true name, but I don't know if I don't know if it matters that much. I have the out with Ugin, so I'm not sure it's that important. Okay. I think the 1 opposition agent's good. Elite Spellblinder actually also is like a pretty good in Stoneblade. Like you can just make the Cauldra a 9-drop and then they're kind of out of luck. Maybe I don't really want too many swords. That could be overdoing it. Griefs feel fantastic. I mean, there's like nothing bad right here. Passageway Seer, to be honest, isn't the best, especially on the draw. Definitely take the Unlicensors. Opposition Agent isn't actually that fantastic against Stoneblade because the search is a May, so like you can get them with it, but it doesn't stop them from, like, it stops them from searching, but they still get the Stoneforge. So it actually, like, it's not that good. It's kind of like how it is against Death and Taxes. All of Death and Taxes searches are Mays. So I don't know if I actually need the Opposition Agent, but I actually think having another out to Cauldra is probably a good idea. So having one more creature might not be a bad idea. I might even go down on an Arena Rector because they're probably boarding in a bunch of Grave Hate. Might do something like this. I don't think I want to board out the Planeswalkers or anything. I think the rest of this is pretty good. Let's go with this. Let's see. I've got a troll. I have two Planeswalkers is pretty bad. This hand just, I think there's just better 6s. Like, this is already kind of a 5 with these 2 Planeswalkers. So I'm gonna actually go to 6. Let's see. I have the, this actually isn't too bad. I have like a grief into a... I can pitch a bone shards to grief. Yeah, let's keep this. We'll get rid of a bone shards. And I can even cast a Bowmaster on turn 1. Like by sacrificing the grief. And if they counter the grief, I'll cycle the troll. I think this is good. We'll go with this. That's a pretty good draw. I like that. Okay, so let's play the Phyrexian Tower. And then we're just going to pitch the Bone Shards to grief. And if they force it, that's okay. Okay, so they have a 4th Aorlingas, which is super annoying. They have a Stoneforge, which is also annoying. Alright, I think we take the Stoneforge here and just cast a Bowmasters and then kind of see what happens from there. They already have the Kaldra. I could take the Kaldra and just not care. That's another option, but I think that it's better... Like, because they have no way to get back the Kaldra. The only problem is they go turn 2 Stoneforge, get a Batterskull. I think I'm going to take the Stoneforge. Alright, we'll take the Stoneforge. Then we're going to sacrifice the grief. And then we'll just cast a Bowmasters. So this turns off the cantrips, and if they happen to cast 4th Aorlingas, like, I'll get them with a damage every time they draw. Okay, there's the island. Another grief. Let's see, so I can grief, sacrifice it for 2. That's not quite enough. So I'm going to just play the plains, attack for 2, and pass. I don't see any point to, like, if they 4th Aorlingas here, I don't see any point to blocking, really. So I think you just get in. If they 4th Aorlingas, X is 1, like, you're going to have a 2/2 army, and then you just attack with the Bowmasters, take the Monarch, and, like, then you can block with the army. I think you're good. So let's see what they do. Okay, nothing. I'm going to cycle the troll here. We'll just cycle the troll, get a swamp, and go to my turn. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. I don't think I want to grief here. I think I want a Cabal Therapy. I think I want to do it before attacks as well. Another option I could do actually is sacrifice the Orc army and cast grief. I don't think I'm going to go there yet. I think I want to get the Cabal Therapy into my graveyard, and next turn I can cast the Arena Rector. So let's go with this. And let's just Cabal Therapy. I think I want to take 4th Aorlingas here. Even though the Force of Will is pretty good. I might not cast the... I might cast the Grief next turn. Let's take the 4th Aorlingas here. Let's see what they got. Okay, 2 Force of Wills, 4th Aorlingas, Cauldron Complete. Okay. That's pretty good. Let's see. So if I cast... I think you really want to flash back the Cabal Therapy. Like, just taking 2 Force of Wills is so strong. The only problem is if I do that, then I have no path. Like, I have no way to cast these 2 cards in my hand until I get another land. And then no real sack outlet for the Arena Rector. I think it's still just too, it's worth too much. So let's do it. I'll sacrifice the army. And we'll just take the Force of Will. All right, we'll dismiss this. Force of Will. Pass the turn. All right. So we're leaving my opponent with a Cauldron complete. I have a Bowmasters in play. They don't have a lot going on. That's okay. Yeah, I think it's still better to just. Yeah, I think we're just playing draw go here. Hope they don't somehow get like a big 4th Aerolingas. Narset Parter Avails, okay. That's fine. Yep. Let's see what they get. They have Cauldron and then 1 unknown card, which they're about to get, which I'll see. If they get Swords to Plowshares, I will probably sacrifice the Orc. Teferi, Time Raveler. That's pretty good. All right. No effect at the EOT. I could get the Teferi by... Okay. This is kind of an interesting situation. Teferi is not any non-land, right? No. Artifact, creature, or enchantment. So, yeah, I think we just... Let's see. So what I can do here is sacrifice the Bowmasters after damage, play another Phyrexian Tower, and then cast the Arena Rector and sacrifice it. So this works pretty well. I'm going to get... actually, let me check Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh. So it's opponent exiles 2 cards from their hand. That's pretty good. I can make them exile 2 cards from their hand, but then they're going to get a Narset activation, which I don't really want. I think you just get Nicol Bolas Planeswalker here and kill the Narset, so I'm just going to attack them. I'm attacking the opponent because I'm going to blow up the Narset with the Nicol Bolas. Okay, so we sacrifice for 2 black. Play Phyrexian Tower. Keep the untapped one. Play Arena Rector. All right. My opponent just concedes, so... Yeah, again, these low resource games against control, you know, you just get some griefs, get some Cabal therapies going. They just run out of gas. So, perfect. It's worked exactly as planned. On the play this time, I would love to play first. Okay, this hand is awkward. It only has the Cavern. Yeah, and the Ugin already makes it a 6. Like, if I have a Swamp instead of this Ugin, this hand's amazing. But as is, I think this is a ship, unfortunately. And the Solitude, like, I can't pitch cast it even. It's really a 5 hand. So this hand's just bad. I'm going to send it back. Hand's a bit awkward, but I'm going to keep it. I have the Ancient Tomb into the Troll with a Grief and a Reanimate. I mean, this feels okay. It's a little slow, but I think that's what we got to do. I'm going to send back the Bone Shards. That's just kind of a card for later. If I could top deck a Swamp, that would be great. I would love that. Okay, well, I guess I just play the Ancient Tomb. The question is whether I'm going to... so I have to play the Ancient Tomb, and I have to use it to troll cycle. I guess I grief here. I think that's better than not griefing. So let's grief, pitch a reanimate. And then we'll troll cycle. We'll see what we're working with here. Wish I had a swamp. Thoughtseize, opposition agent. They have a Chrome Mox. And a Helm of Obedience. Do I just take Chrome Mox here? I might. I think I just take Chrome Mox. Yeah, we'll just take Chrome Mox. Okay, I'm going to pass. There's no risk of the opposition agent unless they cast like another Chrome Mox or something, or a Petal. So I don't have to troll cycle now. I can troll cycle at the EOT. They can't have like a Dark Ritual with Swamp and everything, so they can't have everything. All right, so let's troll cycle. Yep. Now the question is, do I get a swamp or do I get a grief? And I think I'm going to get a scrubland. It's risky, but I think it's better. Let's just get a scrubland. Okay. End step, we're done. And then let's there's a plains, perfect. Okay, I'm in good shape here. I'm going to just reanimate the grief. I think that's better than getting both Thoughtseizes. Like if they Thoughtseize me and take the Cabal Therapy, it's okay. So let's just grief them and take like the Karn or the Helm. They have a second City of Traders. The Karn, I'm probably a little less worried about the Karn. Because if they Karn and try to get up something, like I can either take it with Cabal Therapy or kill the Karn. So I think you just take the Helm and... Although the Helm... Yeah, I think you take the Helm. I think Helm's better. Let's do that. And then we'll just pass the turn. So they can waste one of the cities in order to cast the Karn, and then I get to attack the Karn. That doesn't feel very good. And I can also maybe take whatever they get with the Karn. I don't know what their plan is. So I've done a very good job with Disruption. The Thoughtseize, I'm not too worried about it. I think even if I Cabal Therapy, I'm probably not even going to take the Thoughtseize. Okay, so they're going to blow both cities, or blow one of the cities. Play the Karn, sure. And then we'll see what they get here. All right, still going for whatever they're going for, which I can take with Cabal Therapy. Getting a Vault of Whispers, which will also blow the next city. Oh man, this is like too perfect. So let's hit the Karn. Play the plains. So I can Cabal Therapy for the Thoughtseizes and then Elite Spellbinder, the opposition agent. That feels pretty good. Actually, let's Elite Spellbinder first, because that's we get to see everything. Okay, opposition agent, Leyline of the Void. I think we just take the Leyline and then Cabal Therapy the opposition agent and don't even care about the Thoughtseizes. All right. Good luck, opponent. I've left them in really bad shape here. Bowmasters is pretty good. And I don't have to play it now. I can just sit on it. Don't even care about the Thoughtseizes. Okay, tapping the swamp, or tapping the city, blowing the city away. All right, what do we got here? Bowmasters. Okay, that's fine. You got it. So I'll kill their Bowmasters with my Bowmasters. I got a troll, which I might troll cycle now, but let's attack first. I'm going to leave my Bowmasters up. I probably actually should have just attacked with it. All right, I'm going to swamp cycle now. Grab a, I think I'll just grab a scrubland just in case I draw like a grief or something. A grief or something else that needs double black, or the solitude off double white. I've got no cards in hand. My opponent has one land and two Thoughtseizes. We'll see. There's another city. Dark Ritual. Uh-oh. The Leyline? You can't cast the Leyline. Leyline takes 6. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they miscounted there. Okay. Yep. Good game. So we're against a mono black Dothy Helm, looks like. This deck actually is probably pretty good against me because I have Arena Rectors and, like, yeah, pretty much everything they have is pretty good. The Plague Engineer on Orc's okay. I don't know if Unlicensed Hearse matters. I don't think I need my own ley lines. The Lorens are probably good. The rest of this is probably bad. So these 5 cards are all pretty good. I might even board out the Arena Rector package or a significant amount of it. Because it's just going to be bad. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of this package is bad. So if they're on Dothy Helm, probably Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh. I probably only need. I'll probably stick with just 2, and maybe I'll board down. I think I'll board out at least 1 Arena Rector. Reanimate. I can always reanimate their stuff, which is okay. Like reanimating their own Dothy Voidwalker or something. I don't know. That feels okay. I think I do want all of this though. All 5 of these cards. I think you want Nicol Bolas Planeswalker because that's another out to Helm. You just destroy the Leyline or take control of the Dothy Voidwalker. So I think that's okay. I guess actually Ugin also is an out. So maybe you cut this too and just go really heavy on the anti what they're doing plan. Like you know, Ugin at least is hard castable. So we board down on the stuff that we can't really do anything with. And if we're not sacrificing Arena Rectors, maybe we go down 1 more Bone Shards. Just bring in these. Let's go with this. I think this is okay. Actually, Opposition Agent's bad. They're not searching, so maybe we'll get either the Bone Shards or 1 more Rector. Let's bring in 1 more Rector. Hope to get lucky, because at least all their graveyard hate, we know that it's there, right? It's either a static Dothy or it's a static Leyline. Okay, this is okay. It doesn't have any removal, which I don't like, but you know, it has what it has. So I think that you can't send a hand like this back. Yeah, I figured they'd probably have a Leyline, but that's okay. Okay. So I'm going to be hesitant to crack the Marsh Flats here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna play cautiously. And maybe just play out the Phyrexian Tower. And I don't want to get got by Dark Ritual Opposition Agent. Alright, we'll Swamp Cycle. Get a Scrubland, pass the turn. Okay, that's fine. There's the Voidwalker. Ouch. They have a pretty fast start here. Grief's not bad. But do I want to blow a Grief here? I could Grief into Cabal Therapy plus Bowmasters. I don't hate that. Maybe we'll just pitch one of these, cast the Grief, take whatever's in their hand. Okay, so they have a Dark Ritual and an Opposition Agent. We'll take the Agent. I'm debating whether I even want the Dark Ritual. We're definitely taking the Agent. I think we'll sacrifice the Grief for 2 black. I think we will take the Ritual. And then I'll cast a Bowmasters. It doesn't get the like I do kind of at some point need to get the Opposition Agent off the board, but I'm not in a hurry because it's not like the Arena Rector does anything. Oh man, they have got a full board of stuff going on. Well, we will double block the Oppo Agent. We will get it off the board. This Arena Rector does nothing. I need to get rid of 3 permanents to make anything happen. Yeah. All right. I'm going to fetch now. So I think what I really need to do is, so now the Arena Rector, okay, they're at 4. So I'm on a 3-turn clock. There's no way I get to Ugin mana without killing one of these. That's interesting. I think we'll play out the Ancient Tomb. I think I will blow up the Leyline of the Void. So if let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, they have another Leyline of the Void. Cool. I take 6 here, go to 1, which means I can't tap the Ancient Tomb. I don't know how I don't think there's any way out of this mess. Let's draw a card. That will not get me out. All right. Yeah, there's no way out of this. Yeah, just too many Dothy Voidwalkers. All right. Yeah, the only real card I guess I would consider, you could consider these. I don't think you need that many. Maybe you board down on Arena Rectors. Like, it's going to be very hard to execute that part of that combo. At least Reanimates can reanimate their stuff, which is something. So maybe you bring in like a Bone Shards or an Opposition Agent. I'll bring in the Opposition Agent. If I boarded down an Arena Rector, I probably don't need another Bone Shards. But I need to prioritize like Cabal Therapying for their Dothy Voidwalkers. Opposition Agent isn't very good, but I guess it's something. Yeah, let's go with this. I don't think anything's ideal here. This is probably a pretty bad matchup, but I think this hand just doesn't have enough lands. 1 land with no cycler is just not enough. This hand's fine. Keep this. Now the question is, do I bottom a land or do I bottom a... We're keeping. Do I bottom a land or do I bottom one of the creatures? I think I'll bottom... I think I'm going to bottom a land. I don't love that, but I think we're going to go with that. No leyline. And I think I'm just going to get rid of the opposition agent. Let's get rid of the opposition agent and just strip their hand with this and Cabal Therapy. Okay. So they have their own Bowmasters. They have their own Grief. And then they have Karn the Great Creator, which they could cast as early as turn 2. And they could Dark Ritual into the Bowmaster too. Well, I think the Grief and the Karn are what I really need to prioritize here. So let's take the Grief. And then I'll hit the Karn with the Cabal Therapy. All right. So they can ritual into their own Bowmasters, which is probably fine. I could Bowmaster and then Cabal Therapy them. I think I'm going to just do that. I'll just open with a Bowmaster Sorcery Speed and Cabal Therapy. We're just going to play a low resource game. I'm going to strip everything they have as much as possible. I will sack the army. I know that I can pump the army, but okay, so let's see if they ritual here. They're going to ritual and cast the Orcish Bowmasters, and then I'll name Agadim's Awakening. Sure. That's fine. Let's see, it's Agadim's Awakening. Yep, okay. Let's name that. Got it. Leave them with a ritual. Pass the turn. Okay. Hope they don't like just slam a ritual into Karn or something. That's fine. Opposition, no, Bowmasters. Okay. You got it. I'm gonna cast my Bowmasters now, I guess, and just kill their Bowmaster. Their army is now the king of the battlefield, but I think that's how it goes. Not blocking. All right. I'm going to swing with both. And offer the trade here. Okay, that's fine. We'll go Cavern on Human. Let's see, that's probably what I want. I mean, I guess all of these humans are already castable. Not the Palace Jailer. So yeah, we'll just go Cavern on Human anyway. All right, and we'll cast this. Okay, I don't think I want to trade the Lauren with the Orc. No legal targets here. Especially if they have their own bowmasters. That would be really bad for me. Okay, so they have a Dark Ritual and an Unknown card. I will offer the trade. And if they Orc Army me, they're going to trade? Sounds good. We will both draw cards. Sounds good. I'm going to leave the Ancient Tomb in my hand and just pass the turn. It was risky to draw a card because I give them a card too. Okay. I think I will Bowmaster here just to have a clock. Not that a 3 clock is that much, but it's something. Okay. It's the Bowmaster meta. Let's swing with the Orc Army. I don't know why I'm on yield through turn. Okay, that's fine. Okay. That was a mistake. Well, I guess I want to trade out the Bowmaster, so I think that was good, actually. Okay, so let's human, tap for black, tap for colorless. And then we'll just Palace Jailer, no targets. Take the Monarch. Okay. I'm in an okay spot. I think I will not be attacking with the Palace Jailer unless I draw a creature. We will just sit back. I think I will play the Swamp, though. Troll of Khazad-dûm is hard castable next turn. Grief. Well, I am troll cycling. Grab a scrub land. Play the scrub land. No point to leaving back a blocker here. Wow, I drew 3 extra cards and just couldn't get anything going. Pretty sad. At least I don't give them back a creature when they take the Monarch here. And they can even draw an opposition agent to block my Palace Jailer. Man, sad days. Swords to Plowshares is pretty good. Let's get in with the Palace Jailer. Hope they don't have the 4th Bowmaster. Okay, take the Monarch. That's good. I'll play another Ancient Tomb. And then I'm just going to pass the turn. And I'll Swords the Grief on their turn. I'll Swords it when they attack. And then I'll hardcast the Troll. Hopefully. No grief. Helm's a thing. Nothing I can do to that. Okay, I'd love to draw Lauren. Otherwise, I'm hard casting the troll. All right, no point to not attacking with the Palace Jailer. They've seen the Phyrexian Tower. So let's cast this. I want to leave white up, so we'll just cast like this. And we'll just tap like this. Yeah. I don't think I have any, I think the opposition agents are in the sideboard. I have one opposition agent in the main. So maybe I'll actually tap this, paying 2 life. Or tap the other one, paying 2 life. Just to leave it up. Might confuse my opponent too. And we'll pass the turn. Just in case I draw an opposition agent. Nope, drew the Elite Spellbinder. So if they just ley line, they can just win here. There's nothing I can do to that. Okay. They can Helm here. So they can Helm and get one of my creatures. Let's start by seeing what we're working with. And black. Let's see what they've got. Not that Elite Spellbinder is actually that good. Okay, what do they got here? An Oppo agent? Sure. You have an agent. Ritual, Chrome Mox. Okay. None of this matters, really. I guess we'll take a ritual. Sure. Take a ritual. Pretty bad hand from my opponent. And I think we'll just present the clock here. So get in with the troll, because they can't do anything to the troll. They can't block the troll, and the troll kills them next turn. So let's just do this and then become the monarch. Cabal Therapy does nothing. I mean, it can take the dark rituals, but so I got a fade of turn here. They can Helm of Obedience into a Bowmaster potentially to block the troll. It's conceivable. Shieldred's fine. I don't care. Shieldred doesn't do anything. They have to hit something with the Helm. All right. Man, Cabal Therapy is so bad here. Do I just swing with everything? I guess they're at 6. So they have to hit something with the Helm. I guess I don't see a reason not to leave back the Palace Jailer as a blocker. So let's just swing with the Troll and the Spellbinder and hope they don't hit a Bowmaster. They went to blocks. Are they just dead? It's illegal. You had to Helm before blockers. Ooh, my opponent punted there. Yeah, they needed to Helm before blockers. Whoops. You know, looking back at this, maybe I should have attacked with the Palace Jailer. That would make them have to not tap the Ancient Tomb, I think. I guess they could always hit a Bowmaster. Let's see what my next cards are. I guess they hit the Lauren, which does nothing for them. It's a blocker, but then I kill Shieldred and the Troll. So I guess I did the right thing for what I had. Anyway, whatever. Good games. On to the next. On the play again. Nice. An awkward hand, but I think I will keep this. This is pretty awkward, but I have a troll reanimate. I think it's okay. I'll keep. It's a little awkward, but I'll keep it. Let's see. All right. We're just on the Ancient Tomb Go plan. Hope my opponent doesn't have an opposition agent here. Okay, Misty Rainforest is okay. Ponder's fine. Wish I had another Swamp Cycler. That'd make this hand awesome. Getting the old double cycle on turn 1. That'd be fun. Okay. Cool. Oppo agent. I think I'm going to play the Scrubland and hold up. And see if maybe I can get my opponent on either a Brainstorm or with the Oppo agent. So I have both. So my opponent suspects trouble here. Okay. I think I'm just going to Bowmaster proactively. Taking a lot of damage off this tomb. Is my opponent going to Brainstorm here? Sure. What I really need is like another swamp or something. Another, even like a Cavern of Souls would be really good. That was kind of an awkward turn. Like I could have reanimated the troll. I could have cast the Bowmaster. I could have cast the opposition agent. My opponent was smart to just play it slow. So let's do this. And if my opponent's smart here, they'll probably crack that polluted delta. They didn't. That's interesting. Well, let's get the attack in. Okay, so I could Troll Cycle. I think I like that. I think I like the Troll Cycle into just holding up. And I'm going to Troll Cycle off of the Scrubland. If they crack the fetch, they crack the fetch here. That'd be smart. Yeah, let's just get another Scrubland. Oh, and I played the land already. That was a mistake. That's a terrible missequencing. I didn't realize I'd already played an Ancient Tomb. Wow, I'm playing sloppy. That was a bad missequencing. Hopefully I don't get punished for that. I didn't. That's good. Let's swing. And again, I think I'll just hold up here. What is this? Fairy Vandal. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Fairy Vandal. I don't think I've ever seen this card. I'm going to plow it. Okay. And I'll just keep holding up here. I'm hesitant to reanimate as it kind of overcommits to the board. But let's try this. See if my opponent try to force out that force of will or something. Got a dress down or something? Oh, a dismember? Okay, you got it. Three islands. Is this High Tide? No, it's Delver. I was like, the Fairy Vandal's odd. Okay, so I have that. So I can reanimate again. I could get the, or I could reanimate for the first time. I could get the troll. With triple blue, I don't think the troll's wrong. Let's open with Bowmasters. Man, I'm gonna go so low. But my opponent's very low. Like this is lethal with the troll next turn if they don't have an answer. So let's hit the Delver and then stifle. Okay. Well, let's get an attack in. So I kind of don't want to reanimate the troll. Like maybe I could reanimate the opposition agent. That feels okay. I think that's better than the troll because the troll will take me to 6 and then I'll die essentially in 2 turns to that Delver. So maybe we just do the opposition agent and we'll sort of go from there. My opponent already kind of has to keep their force back. Days. I'm going to pay. Go to 7. I don't think they can... I mean, sure, you got the Delver, but... Delver doesn't flip. You know I'm coming in. Let's see what they got here. Some creature. Murktide Regent. Probably a big one. An 8/8. That's bad. The grief's not going to do anything here. I think I just lost. Yeah, maybe I played that a little loose. Well, let's see exactly what they have at least, because I think I'm just dead here. I don't have anything going on. A Jit main deck. Okay. So this is some sort of like mono blue Delver, I guess. I'm dead, so I'm conceding the game here. Yeah, there's no way out of this. Just took too much damage. Maybe I needed to go in on the troll earlier. Yeah, maybe that's a mistake. Maybe I just needed to get the troll going earlier. Unlicensed Hearse is good. And I think you want the Swords to Plowshares. Plague Engineer is a maybe. I think the rest of this is okay. The opposition agent I think we can cut. They have a Jit, which means Lauren might be okay. I already have 1, but maybe 2's good. I think the Nicol Bolas Godpharaoh can probably go. Stick with just the Planeswalker and the Ugin. Those are probably the 2 good ones. These are good. Kind of wary of passageways here against Delver. The rest of this feels okay. Elite Spellbinder. I don't know exactly how this interacts with Murktide, but probably not in my favor. So we're definitely bringing these in. I think the Arena Rector's okay, which means I think the Bone Shards are okay. Recruiter might be a little slow. Maybe I'll trim a Recruiter for a Plague Engineer. Like you recruit it for something and then next turn you get something going. Maybe that's just a little slow. I feel like this is a little bit better. Let's go with this. Hopefully we can beat Delver. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. I can grief pitching Nicol Bolas, but I need a Swamp Cycler here. This hand doesn't work. This hand is better. I will keep this. Maybe I'll bottom the second Arena Rector. Yeah, let's bottom that. Okay. All right. And my opponent is playing Stifles. So maybe, do we want to just get the Plague Engineer going right away? You know, maybe I'll just play the Marsh Flats, and I'm not going to do anything right now. I'm going to wait. So next turn I might grief, and then I can sacrifice the grief. Although I can't cast the Plague Engineer if I pitch it, but we'll see what my opponent's got. Okay, they're just playing Island Go. I'm not fetching out. Cavern's good. I like Cavern. I think no reason to rush it. We just played the Phyrexian Tower here. Next turn I can actually do the Arena Rector by getting 2 mana from the grief. But then I can't sacrifice it. We'll see what my opponent's got after this. 2 islands. Got a Delver. Love to draw like a black card. That'd be perfect. Okay, so I could grief into Swords to Plowshares. If I crack the Marsh Flats, maybe you just play Plains into Swords to Plowshares here. Maybe that's the answer. Just play very, very slow. Let's do that. Really playing around, really respecting the stifle here. That's kind of what's going on. Could have even gone Cavern on Phyrexian, but if the Marsh Flats get stifled, that would be trouble. Okay. They can also stifle the Arena Rector trigger. Okay, well, that's pretty good. So let's do the grief. And we'll pitch pitch that. Let's see what they do here. All right. So I could always sacrifice it with Phyrexian Tower. They're stifling the trigger. Okay. I think we just sacrifice it and then reanimate the grief. And see what they do to that. Sure. I'm not going to crack my fetch. they presumably have some spell that they're doing here. Brainstorm's fine. Probably hiding a grief or something, or hiding a Murktide. Murktide's dangerous. Okay, Lorien revealed. Don't care about Spell Pierce at all. Don't care about Daze. I think we just hit the Lorien revealed and then crack the fetch here. Yeah, let's take this. Don't care about those the non-creature spells. Let's crack this, and we'll just get a. I think we'll just have very stable mana. We'll just get a swamp. I'll play a Cavern on human, and then I'll cast the Arena Rector. Okay. So it's basically they need a Stifle here or bust. But presumably they put something like a Murktide on top, which I'm not super concerned about. All right. See what you got. Going Murktide? No. Oh, there's the Flooded Strand. Okay. They are casting a Murktide. That is fine. I don't care. Okay. I guess I could Cabal Therapy them. Strip the rest of their hand. Don't know if it really matters. I think let's just do it. Let's just sacrifice the Arena Rector. We'll get Nicol Bolas and take control of it. Yeah, we'll just take Nicol Bolas. Gain control of target creature. Cabal Therapy. And let's take the Spell Pierces, I guess. I don't think I care about the days. All right. My opponent has just the days in hand. And they're facing down Nicol Bolas, Murktide, Grief, and not enough stuff in their graveyard to fuel a new Murktide. Or even if they do, like I can just gain control of it. Notably, if I sacrifice something with Cabal Therapy, it will grow their Murktide, or my Murktide now. So if I draw like another Arena Rector, for example, like I can get one more damage out of the Murktide. But I'm going to just start blowing up lands. Or if they play a creature, I'll kill that. Okay, they just scoop it up. Yep, that's pretty good. Nicol Bolas Planeswalker is pretty strong. Yeah, I wasn't too worried about the Murktide. I figured that was what they were doing. Okay, do I want anything different on the draw? So Unlicensed Hearse is still very good. It really does look like that's pretty much their whole plan. I think the opposition agents can still stay out. I don't think they're very good. Recruiter of the Guard for Solitude is a thing, though, against Murktide, which seems like that's their their main plan. I could board down an Arena Rector, but I don't even know if I want to do that. They're almost certainly boarding in Surgicals here, if they didn't already. So I kind of do want the Recruiter. I think you want to keep both Planeswalkers, though. Don't hate the Griefs. Most of this feels pretty good. I think Elite Spellbinder is a good blocker, so I think we want that. I think you want Bone Shards. I mean, none of this is really bad. Definitely don't want to board down a land. Maybe it's... there's like nothing I want to lose here. It could be Arena Rector, but I feel like that dilutes my plan too much. I feel like the Arena Rector is still how I win a long game against this deck. Yeah, maybe I'll just trim a Bone Shards, even though that's a pretty good card in this matchup, I feel. Let's go with it. Okay, let's hope for the best. Oh man, got both the Planeswalkers in the starting hand, so the Arena Rector would be dead. This hand is a mulligan for sure. Oh, brutal. Brutal. I'm still considering keeping it. That's how weird this hand is. I think it's better than a 5. Cavern, Phyrexian Tower. I guess we could send back the Ancient Tomb. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. This is a pretty bad 6, but at least I have an uncounterable Orcish Bowmasters. That's something. Alright, let's go Cavern on Human. The next Cavern will be Cavern on Orc. Hope they don't flip, and then I'll just Cavern on Orc. They have Stifles, though. Okay, they're going to flip it. That's fine. I do have a Swords to Plowshares for it, so it's not the end of the world. They're kind of investing in this Delver pretty heavily, so Spell Pierce. Okay. The Spell Pierce sort of takes out the Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Let's just go Cavern on Orc and see what happens. This turns off their cantrips or they lose the Delver. And then I can always swords the Delver next turn. I'm not super eager to play the Delver here. Or play the Bowmaster. I'll just take 3. Jitte. Lauren takes care of that. That's fine. I mean, assuming they don't have... Okay, so... The other thing I might want here is like Cabal Therapy. Like I can Orc. I think I am going to Orc here. And if they cantrip, that's fine, because then I have uncounterable Lauren for the Jitte. Because this will also give me Phyrexian Tower, which will let me Cabal Therapy away the... So my play here, I think I play the Phyrexian Tower, or I attack, I play the Phyrexian Tower. I sack the Orc Army. I sack the Orc Army. Oh, but I would need to sacrifice. Oh, yeah, sacrifice the Orc Army. Play Cabal Therapy to try to get Stifle. I think that's what I want to get. All right. So let's play the Phyrexian Tower. We will sacrifice the Orc Army. Play Cabal Therapy. Hope they don't daze it. If they spell pierce it, that's fine. I just don't want them to daze and then still have Stifle. They've gut shot the Orc. That's fine. Brainstorm's fine. Okay, so no Stifle. I'm going to get the Jit. That's fine. Do I want to name Murktide? They're probably hiding that. They've shown me a Spell Pierce. I could name the Spell Pierce. What am I worried about here? Yeesh. Yeah, we could just name Spell Pierce. I'm going to need to resolve this Sword of Plowshares at some point. Let's see what they got. They did have a Spell Pierce. Okay, and they have a Ponder and a Force of Will. And then let's cast the Lauren. And that'll blow up the Jit. I'm still got to worry about this Delver at some point. Like, I'm going to have to take that Force of Will somehow or something. But I'm in okay shape. They got the Ponder. All right. I can only cast the Reanimate off of sacrificing with the Phyrexian Tower, which is super awkward. They've got a Wasteland. Sure. Yep, that's fine. Are they just going to jam a Murktide here? If they do, I'm not in the worst shape. I'm not in great shape, though. Recruiter's pretty good. But I'm considering... Let's see, can I take another hit? I think I can. I think I can. I can take one more hit off the Insectile Aberration. So let's do this. And then I can get Solitude, which is okay. I could get Palace Jailer, which is pretty good. I could get an Elite Spellbinder, which is pretty good. I think I like the Elite Spellbinder. I think that's better than Arena Rector. Let's do that. Let's pass the turn. So I don't think I'm going to be giving my opponent cards until I have a Bowmaster in play. That's trouble. Got it. Yep. I'm definitely not giving my opponent another card with the Lauren. All right. They're going to try to ride this Delver to victory. Bowmasters is decent. Let's get the attack in first. I think I'll hold the Bowmaster for now. The Bowmaster is uncounterable, though, in the future. But I don't win the race with that. Let's see. Bowmaster would be 5. They'd hit me. I hit them for 5. They hit me. I kill them. It actually does win the race. It actually does, but it doesn't get full value. I think I'm going to start. I think I'm going to Swords to Plowshares. No. Should I just Orc? I'm going to Orc. I'm going to Orc. We're Orcing. Yeah. We'll just pass the turn. I guess I don't have to make a decision now, anyway. I'm going to take the hit with the Insectile Aberration. I do technically win this race if they have absolutely nothing. So let's do this. If they stifle it, then I don't win the race. Boy, this thing is so slow right now. Okay, I think we'll Grief here. That'll clear anything like a Force of Will or whatever they got. Maybe a flash creature. Gutshot targeting Lauren. That's okay. I'm still not going to draw a card. I no longer win the race, but I guess I have Swords to Plowshares. But if my opponent just jams a Murktide, I'm in big trouble. We take the Force here for sure. Yeah, not super concerned about the Lorien Revealed because it's 2 mana away from casting it. Yeah, I guess we just... I think we just plow the Delver and hope they don't have a Murktide. Okay. They know my last card is Elite Spellbinder. I know their last card. I have a board. Okay, they did Island Cycle to thin. No Murktide one time. That's okay. I mean, it's something. Let's get in one time. No Flash Fairy. Oh no, they had it. Brutal. So they blocked the Bowmaster. Well, Lorien revealing to thin paid off. I will Swamp Cycle here. and just get a swamp. And no point to anything else. Okay. Next turn I can cast the Elite Spellbinder. Not through days, but it's something. No Murktide one time. My opponent can't super profitably attack me. Maybe if they drew like a Brainstorm or something. Yeah, I can't super profitably attack them, to be fair. Reanimate is interesting. I got to be super careful here. So I could reanimate the Orcish Bowmasters, but I think playing just getting a threat is better. Let's see what they got. They have a Spell Pierce. We will take it. Spell Pierce costs lots of mana. I'm not attacking. So I can reanimate like the Bowmaster. But I don't have a way to deal with the fairy. Let's see, Recruiter the Guard is decent. I think I just attack with everything, and if they don't block, I kill them with reanimate on Orcish Bowmasters. I think we just swing out here. So they'll block the Elite Spellbinder, which I could then reanimate. Okay. Okay. I think we just play Recruiter the Guard. I think we just play Recruiter. This presents lethal damage and gets another threat. And it could be a Bowmaster. Let's get it. Bowmasters. Yeah, let's just get a Bowmasters. And pass the turn. Okay, maybe I got out of this mess. You got to ponder. So Spell Pierce is still turned on if they don't tap out. They need something though here, or just they die. Okay, got out of it. Wow. I thought I was cooked that game. I'm gonna restart MTGL, man. It's slowing down. On the play yet again, playing for the trophy. Playing on black-white Rector Scam. Oh man. Yeah, I can't keep a 5. I mean, the other problem is if both planeswalkers are in your hand, you can't ever get them out of the deck. So I got to mulligan this. This is better. I will keep this. Now the question is, do I want to Cabal Therapy on turn 1? I think I'm keeping for sure. I'm not Cabal Therapying to start, so maybe I'll put 1 back and then I'll Troll Cycle or something. That seems good. So let's put 1 back. Done. Does my opponent have a pregame action here? No, they're mulliganing. Okay. Let's just play Plains and pass. And I'll cycle the Troll at the EOT. See what my opponent's got. Island. All right. Well, let's Swamp Cycle. Island with no play, like no ponder, means you got Brainstorm or you got Force of Will. That's what that means to me. Maybe they're considering stifling this. If they stifle it, it's actually okay. I might actually hold up the Bowmasters, like not even Cabal Therapy here. Because I can then, the following turn, I can Cabal Therapy, and then when they brainstorm, respond with Bowmasters, which feels pretty good. I mean, I'll hold up the Bowmasters. If they brainstorm, I'll clearly do it, but... Alright, let's just get a swamp. We'll just get basics. It's pretty good. Alright. Oh, I guess I shouldn't yield through turn here. I feel I yield too much. Alright, let's see what they got. Show me a land, show me another color. That was unexpected. Alright. So let's play this. We'll Cabal Therapy. See what's going on. And then I can always flash it back if they Bowmaster. So Island with Ancient Tomb. This could be like a... This could be an 8-cast player playing very slowly. But 8-cast doesn't run that many islands. Force of Will, Lorien Revealed. So the other thing that makes me think what this could be Show and Tell. Which my hand is actually fantastic. If this is Show and Tell, like this hand's fantastic. So they pitched a Lorien Revealed. I lean toward Bowmastering now and then Cabal Therapying. Let's just Bowmaster now and Cabal Therapy them. And then we'll just sack the Orc army. So I'm going to name, even though I have all the answers to Show and Tell, do I want to name Show and Tell? Like, I almost want to bait them into Show and Tell here. I think I still name Show and Tell. You just cut them off of whatever they're doing. I think that's what we're doing. Nope. Flusterstorm, Cunning Wish. Okay. That's weird. Okay. I guess they did it because otherwise I would hit the Cabal Therapy hits both Flusterstorms. Makes sense. I guess they prioritize keeping the Flusterstorms over the... Okay. Giving me a ping with the Orc. So this is almost, I mean, I guess it could still be High Tide, but this looks like Blue-Green Omni. This is almost certainly, it's not High Tide. They don't run Ancient Tomb. This is Blue-Green Omni. That's pretty good. I don't have anything to sacrifice to it, but we can sort of force them to have something here. So let's just play the Ancient Tomb and play Arena Rector, and, you know, we'll see what happens. They can Cunning Wish for another force. It's an option. But these two cards are like exactly what you want against Show and Tell. So against Blue-Green Omni specifically. So you always put in Lauren off the Show and Tell. Because if they put in Emrakul, you just play the Karakas the next turn. And then if they put in the Omni, you hit the Omni before they can cast a spell. Although in this case, they could at least cast a Cunning Wish. So maybe it actually isn't enough. Sacrifice effect would be very good here. Don't have an amazing clock. So yeah, they would put in Omni and then they can Cunning Wish. That's pretty good. But I think they might have to use the Cunning Wish here to to get some gas. Nope. They're just going to draw all the gas they need. Preordain gets an orc ping, speeds up the clock. All right. Another ancient tomb. Those ancient tombs are going to start getting costly. Not drawing anything good here. I guess I'll play the scrubland. Oh man, no play still. Okay. Well, I will be casting the troll. It will happen. I mean, we cast it. And it leaves me still above the life for Emrakul. I would still be at 1 in case they somehow get in an Emrakul hit. So this is okay. That being at above 16 is kind of a critical life total. Okay, they fail to draw a card. That's fine. Bowmaster cannot hit them. It'll hit the troll. All right, because I still get the orc army. They veiled, so the Bowmaster can't hit it. So I have 2 lethal attackers here. They have to win this turn. It's possible still. They need Omni. They need kind of everything. Like even getting Emrakul doesn't win the game because I'll just take 15. Yeah, okay. So, yep. And I'm kind of glad I didn't reveal either of these. Both of those are very good cards. So this is Blue-Green Omnishow. Good deck. Definitely want all of this. I don't think I care about any of this. Swords, I don't know if I want more. Deafening Silences are a maybe. I think the only Planeswalker with no application is kind of Ugin. Like Ugin doesn't do anything. They're not putting a bunch of threats on the board. They're putting either they're putting Emrakul on the board, you want Nicol Bolas. They're putting Omniscience on the board, you want Nicol Bolas. Or they still are doing stuff with their hand, in which case you want the God Pharaoh. So I think Ugin has no application, so we'll board that out. Spellbinder's great. Passageway Seer's okay. Opposition Agent, I guess they have fetch lands and they have Lorien Revealed, so it's not worthless. It's okay. Bone Shards isn't the best. There's not really any creatures to hit, probably. Might board down 1. Although you kind of want these. I mean, I'll be sacrificing it to destroy my own creature, probably most of the time. So maybe I'll board down 1. I like the Lorens. I like the Arena Rectors. I like Palace Jailer specifically. Maybe Passageway Seer is not that great. I mean, it's a good threat, but it's just not that great. That brings in these, which I want all of. And then do I want the Deafening Silences? They're not bad. They sort of stop them from, like if they show and tell and you have Deafening Silence, then you sort of always, it simplifies what you put in. 50 seconds. I think you want all 3 Lorens. Elite Spellbinder's good. Recruiter of the Guard's good. Opposition Agent. Yeah, all these are pretty good. Yeah, I don't feel that there's actually anything that Deafening Silence is better than. Maybe I'll board down 1 Swords to Plowshares for a Deafening Silence. If they just show and tell a quick Archon, that would be bad for me. But otherwise, that's okay. This hand's great. Hand's perfect. Doesn't, like, no notes. So we have a full scam here. Grief, pitching Bowmasters, then reanimate. Hand's fantastic. Sure. You're good. Let's see what they do with the Ponder here. I don't want to pitch the Troll. They chose not to shuffle, so they know their next 2 cards. Another Grief. I think I'd rather pitch the second Grief. Let's do that. Actually, I'm going to put in the Scrubland first, just in case they have a Daze. So here's the Grief. Cunning Wish, Brainstorm, Emrakul. I could shuffle their library by taking the Emrakul, which feels okay. And then I could reanimate it and take the Brainstorm. That feels pretty good. Yeah, just leave them with a Cunning Wish and a Lorien revealed. That feels pretty good. Okay, let's take Emrakul, the Eon's Torn. So take half the combo, and then reanimate it. And let's pull this out. And take the Brainstorm. All right. I have a threat. They're quite far from finishing the combo. They have 2 Misties. That's pretty good. I'll play the Scrubland. I'm going to pass the turn. I can still make a decision based on what they do, whether I want a Bowmaster or Troll. Okay, they have that. Do I want to speed up the clock, or do I want a Recruiter for an out? I think we just Bowmaster here. Yeah, we'll just Bowmaster. This also sort of weakens their Lorien revealed. Okay, they have a Brainstorm. That's fine. Shuffle away the bad cards. So these are now, we're not sure what's in their hand. Bowmaster gets a ping in. Clock sped up. Cabal Therapy is fantastic. Let's get an attack in first. So I don't think they would keep the Lorien revealed here, but they might keep the Cunning Wish. Let's Cabal Therapy. So I'm going to name the Cunning Wish. They might keep that. I don't think there's any way they keep the Lorien revealed. Got the Cunning Wish. Okay. Still have Brainstorm and Ponder. Are they worth taking? The Ponder's probably worth taking, because if they Brainstorm, I'm just going to blow them out with Bowmasters. So let's sacrifice the Orc army and just hit the Ponder. If they want to Brainstorm here, that's fine. So they shuffled away their cards, and they're going to Brainstorm. Sure. 3 pings. Man, Bowmasters is such a good card here. It's just so good. Anytime you can force them to cast Brainstorm or force them to have action, like, man, it's just so good. I think this is actually lethal next turn, because I'm going to have a 3/3, a 3/2, and a 1/1. Okay. Yeah. Do you have a Veil? Okay. You got Veil. That's fine. I will ping the Grief. Okay, so it's not lethal next turn. I flash this back. This does nothing. I'll let this end. I will Swamp Cycle. I will get another Scrubland and just play it. So even if they show and tell Emrakul here, I show and tell Recruiter the Guard, and then I either get Palace Jailer or Solitude. Or sorry, I either get Solitude and then I can Solitude it, or I get Lauren, I can cast Lauren if they show an Omniscience with nothing to follow up. Okay, Ponder's good. Let's see, did they, no, they played a forest, so this tropical island was, I guess they shuffled it away. Okay, it's not quite lethal, but it's, my opponent's definitely not in good shape. Now the question is, do I want to cast this Recruiter of the Guard? This takes them to 2. Let's Recruiter. I think we're still gonna Recruiter. And I can get Lauren here, which might make them put in Emrakul or something. I think that that's better. So let's just get a Lauren. And then I sort of don't know what they can have here that gets them out of this. Okay, you got an Impulse. Like, if they show and tell Emrakul, they'll just lose to an attack. Okay, Dress Down works. No ping from the Orc. Can't cast an Ancient Tomb. All right, got the trophy. All right, let's just look back at that board state. Yeah, I don't know what they could do here. I mean, you can't show and tell. I presume this was show and tell. I didn't see anything else. I don't actually know if we saw any show and tells, but we did see Emrakul. So definitely a show and tell deck. Yeah, just the scam package was strong against it. All right, let's look at the deck and see. Got a trophy. That's nice. So one thing that just, like, this is all over leagues right now is just the scam package of Grief, Reanimate, Orcish Bowmasters, and Troll of Khazad-dûm. Like, these 4 cards together are just very, very strong. Doesn't matter whether it's mono black or, you know, any of the color pairings. At my local store, I've seen people playing black red. Black blue is very popular. I'm playing black white here. Black green, I feel like I've seen that a couple times with people like mixing it in with the smog package or something. Just overall, deck felt great. If I were to say that there was a weakness, and this I think is just a weakness of Rectors in general, is I mulliganed a lot. But when you have like 3 borderline uncastable cards in your deck, anytime you get those into your starting hand, like you kind of have to mulligan. The troll package has really allowed us to like this is a deck that wants to get to 4 mana, you know, in order to like hard cast an Arena Rector. I don't have any fast mana in this deck other than Ancient Tomb. And troll has really allowed us to not like overload the lands while still being able to get there, and also having other applications, pitching it to Grief if you have a land heavy hand, reanimating it if you troll cycle it, swamp cycle it, whatever. Like, all these cards seem to fit really well together. Recruiter is slow in this deck compared with some other decks, but it works. I don't think I actually cast Bone Shards, but there weren't that many decks that I faced where Bone Shards mattered. I still think this card is probably a good card to have in the deck. It has a few things going for it. One, it can kill a Planeswalker, but 2, like, even if the opponent has a Chalice, sacrificing is part of the cost, so you can still do it. And you can also discard like one of the planeswalkers that's stuck in your hand to do it. So this card I feel just has a lot of application. I think it's a good fit as a 2 of. Other than that, yeah, deck felt good. This was a card I was kind of questionable on. This is a card that historically has been good against Delver, and we saw that it was actually pretty good against Delver in that matchup, or at least it had some application. Um, I actually thought it was okay, like as a card that you could fetch off of a recruiter. It ended up like as a 1 of. I think one was the like 1 or 0 is the right number, and I felt one was fine. Um, the rest of these cards I felt all had their place. Passageway Seer is maybe debatable. I boarded it out a couple matchups. Like Palace Jailer kind of fills the same role while also having other applications. Um, yeah, overall, this deck felt great. I think it all fits together. The sideboard, I mean, we didn't showcase a lot of cards in the sideboard. If I were to make a change, I'm not sure the second opposition agent is super necessary. Like between either the third deafening silence and the opposition agent, I think I would like to fit in something like an Aethersworn Canonist or something like that, just to give me outs against a couple extra combo decks. Because that's probably where this deck, like, if you don't get a fast Cabal Therapy Grief draw, like you're going to be pretty weak against fast combo. But yeah, overall the deck felt great. I definitely wouldn't change too many cards in the 75. And I guess that's kind of it for the video. But if if you know if you want to tell me like what decks you're playing, especially if you're playing something with the scam package, I feel like this scam package just fits into so many decks right now, which is both a positive because like so many decks are viable, but it's also a negative because like a lot of matchups kind of start to feel the same. But if you're playing scam, I would love for you to tell me in the comments like what you're playing, what have you made with Grief and Reanimate that fits together. Anyway, have a good rest of your night. Like and subscribe if you like this content, and have a good one.